like I am way too fit to have what happened in Chicago this year. Like something's got to change. And had I done really well at that event, I don't know that I would have. Maybe I still would be confused to some degree about how to race it. But that race in particular forced me to just really look myself in the mirror and just be like, all right, like going out balls to the wall, which we saw in Anaheim with Hunter, like that
Yeah,
strategy more times than not is not going to work out.
right.
Sometimes it can, like you can overperform by racing off of your ego and things like that. Like I've had it happen to me in the past, but more times than not, it's not going to work out. And um, so obviously I went to Houston and ran high 56. I went out way more conservative. I broke a ton on the sleds. Just really managed my effort like perfectly. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh, okay. Like that felt that felt good. Like it didn't hurt all that bad, you know? Like, yeah, by the end you're kind of feeling it, but like the race itself wasn't that bad. And then I wanted to know if I could duplicate that performance again. So when I went to Anaheim, that was really my only goal. Like I knew Hunter was going to be there, and I told Rich before we left to go to the venue that, my goal wasn't to beat Hunter, but if he showed any signs of weakness, I was going to attack. And that's kind of what
Yeah.
happened, like I wanted to run the same race I did in Houston, go out a little slower, break a ton on the sleds, and really kind of ease my way into the race, let the race come to me rather than me go to the race. And I felt so good, like going into the sled push. I'm like waving to people in the crowd. I'm like doing weird dances, like on the carpet. I was just feeling so good, and I could already tell that Hunter was coming back to me.
Yeah.
Um, I
Well, that happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he only made it like 10 minutes before he popped. He made it through the first run, the skier, and the second run. And then on sleds, I think I put like close to 20 seconds on him on the sled push, and then another 20 seconds on the sled pull. And then at that point, I had passed him up. And like I said, I could feel on the push that I was reeling him in. And then on the run after the push, I could tell I was reeling him in just a little bit. And I've been in that position before where you're starting to fade. And look, man, fatigue makes a coward of us all. Like
Yeah.
if you it doesn't matter who you are, man. If you overcook, like it's gonna get you. And that's what happened to Hunter, and I could feel it, and I was feeding off of that. And when I passed him, I was just like, yeah, dude, like I think I got you today, bro. And
Yeah.
I think he put in one last surge to catch up to me on that run afterwards. I think just to kind of say like, "Yo, man, like I'm out, dude. Like I don't have it today." Like it was kind of weird that he wanted to. It wasn't weird to me that he dropped out because we've seen this before. He did
Right.
it. He did it last year, and coming from the endurance world, running like I've seen Kenyans do marathons where they just if they fall
Yeah.
off the lead, they call
Yeah.
it quit. And so I didn't really think anything of that. I'm just like, dude, Hunter's gonna be ready for Worlds. Like this means nothing. And I told him that before he dropped out. I said, dude, this isn't the World Championships, man. Like just be smart.
Yeah.
Um, but what was weird to me was that he wanted to catch up to me and like let me know that he didn't have it. Like
Hmm.
like I've never seen him kind of like show his cards like that. Like he's usually very stoic and won't let you know what he's thinking or yeah. So like for him to just come up to me and be like clearly grimacing in the face, like I don't have it
Yeah.
today. I don't have it today. And I was just like, wow, like I don't think I've ever heard Hunter say those things. And Hunter's my boy. We've gone through a lot together. Um, and to be quite honest, I don't know that I have his respect as an athlete. I think he kind of thinks that he can do things like he did in Anaheim and still like win a race. He's probably like, man, I'll go out super hot, and if I pop, like I'm still gonna have like a big lead, and I'll be able to catch my breath on the rower or something and come back from it and still win the race. But um yeah, I don't know.
Well, I
I think
think what's coming up for me is that, he's he's a one of a kind. You know what I mean? Hunter is larger than life, right? So like it's not that he's not concerned about the competition, because clearly he's got to look out. He knows who's like, he's like, okay, this guy, 2 years ago it was, what's his name? Who's the first really
Kobe.
good? Kobe was the right, and you now, and Magita's got something now. But we probably talk about him and think about him more than he's thinking about us. You see what I'm saying? So, and that's his advantage. That's what he's got. That's what kind of goats kind of do. He's got this thing, he's held it. And every time we think he's slipped a minute, what does he do the next time? Right. So I
Yeah,
think
but
it's,
at the same time, I think that people are starting to learn how to train for this thing. Like, I mean, look at like Kent was just saying, like last year I didn't really know how to train for this, and now this year he's kind of dialed the training in where he feels like he's figured out really truly what's working for him. And then he lays down a 56 and a 57 low, and we know the US courses aren't short. We know they're not really set up to make us run these crazy times like we see happening all over. I mean, I don't know if you checked out the London times, but there's some names in there that just ran crazy fast a few weeks back. And they technically, my time was faster than theirs, just saying. So I think and I respect Hunter, and I just met him in Anaheim for the first time. But I think as people start figuring out what works for them, people like Kent, people like Megita, I think they're going to start challenging that a little more. That the
Yeah,
go
well, I wonder if he thinks about that. You know, like I do. I like if he's just like, man, these guys are getting better.
Yeah,
Um, because it's not just me, it's not just Megita. There's a ton of talent over in Europe right now. Like we've
yeah.
seen Tim take another big step forward this
Alex
year.
Ronkovich has
Alex
run crazy times.
Sandbatch, I
Yep.
mean, like the list goes on. And I think we thought last year was going to be the year where people pushed Hunter in the world championships, but maybe it was a year too soon.
Yeah.
Um, and I will admit, I'm fully willing to admit right here that I think, if everyone has their best day, Hunter probably does win the race, But
Yeah.
like if he slips up even in the slightest bit, like we're talking like half of a percent, if he's like half of a percent off of his game, there's going to be guys breathing down his neck.
And it's
Um,
so easy to do. It's so easy to push it that you push over that line just a hair too soon. It's so easy. I feel like that's been a huge part of my experience this year and just my own racing. It's like I went out like a bandit in Chicago running, Lauren down. I accomplished that goal, and then I got beat at the end because I didn't have quite what it took to get me to the finish line. So it can happen very, very easily too, especially when you have people on your butt. It's easy for your own race strategy to kind of go out the window. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure you feel that way too.
for
well,
sure. And it took a lot of discipline. And sorry, Matt, I just want to say it took a lot of discipline in Anaheim to be on the start line with Hunter and just like let him go. But
Yeah,
that was
I
like my
bet.
plan. I was like, I need to do this. I need to know if this wasn't a one-time fluke thing or if this strategy actually works. And now I know like it does work. And sorry, Mike, I don't know if you can hear my little boy in the background. He's crying. Trying to get in the door. But
Oh,
I think that's what I'm gonna go with in Manchester, and just let my fitness. I want my fitness to decide my outcome. I don't want me just trying to be overzealous and let my ego get in the way. And like I said, sometimes I've performed really well off of letting my ego run the race for me. But at this stage in my life, I don't know if I can get away with that anymore. And I think if I let my fitness decide the outcome versus my ego, I can live with that. If I feel like I
Mhm.
run a great race at Worlds and I finish third, then I can live with that. But if I go out hot and I'm starting to fade and I'm like regretting my decision mid race on like
Yeah.
what I did, then I'm just like, that shit's gonna eat at me like for so long. But I'm training so hard. I feel like I'm doing all of the right things that I don't need to do anything crazy anymore in the race. I just need to just go run the race. Like I don't need to try to prove anything to anyone in the first run or on the ski erg. And when you get into environments on the sled push where the crowd is surrounding you and everyone's screaming at you to push, 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 like it's so easy to no pun intended, over push there as well, because of the hype of the crowd. And it's like you really just have to tame your effort and know that you're going to be thankful come burpee broad jumps, come rower, those middle stages of the race where fatigue would normally be starting to kick in, but you're like just kind of getting into the flow of the race. um and I think
Yeah.
it's taken falling on my face in North American to really kind of come to that realization.
Yeah, I feel like it's never been truer, run your own race. Because of course we say that, in a 5K, in a marathon, in an obstacle race, but I truly feel like this is a race where, as you said, it has to come back to you. Because if you go out chasing, because listen, there's plenty of people listening to this that are going for it in Manchester, right? In their age group, in doubles, in whatever. And if they're looking at everybody else, then it's a recipe for disaster, don't you think?
For
Yeah,
sure.
it definitely can be. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
I
mean,
needed to know that I could be conservative with Hunter on the line, because normally when he's there, like you're like, oh man, like I need to go like right from the gun. And it's like, look, if I can tame myself with Hunter on the start line, even though it wasn't the World Championships, but like I feel like I can tame myself in Manchester. Um, and that's obviously the goal. Hopefully, I won't get caught up in just kind of what everyone else is doing.
yeah. No, I think I'm super impressed because even I like even with Belle and Lauren next to me in the sleds, I was like it's so easy to get, and I was 2 lengths or maybe 3 ahead, but it doesn't matter. Like when you're next to side by side people, that's when you can very easily like go off of your plan and like you said, like put out a little bit too much or yeah, like with the people. I mean, you knew Rich's feedback of my sled push, and it's like you have people yelling at you and you just go like it. So totally get it. So that's super impressive that you were able to kind of like keep yourself in check with Hunter, because as I think we all know, like you guys kind of you're pals, but there's definitely a little back and forth
I want to, yeah,
talk.
for sure. And I want to rub this in Hunter's face too if he does listen to this. And again, Hunter is my boy, but I need him to know that the last 4 times that we've raced, look, he has my number on the totality of our careers together. But the last 4 times we've raced, I've beaten him 3 of the last 4.
Those are some good
Hyrox North
odds.
American, Spartan race slow. Then he got me at Worlds, and now I got him in Anaheim. So maybe the
Yeah.
tables have turned a little bit.
Hey, who knows? I like the odds though. But that's some good percentages. Um, how did you feel about coming in second last year? I hate second place. This is why I'm asking you. Like, does that like I would rather myself, I would rather come in unless, I mean, obviously if there's money on the line, then like, the higher you place, the more you make, right? But like my ego would rather come in third than second. Cause when I come in second, unless it's by an astronomical margin, I feel like that was my race to lose, you know, and I
Yeah.
hate that feeling. So I'm just curious, like how you feel about it.
I think because it was Hunter, I was okay with
Yeah.
it because I was like, all right, he's the better man. Like he's the only guy to beat me. He's the GOAT. Like that's fine. So I think to some degree I was able to swallow it and accept it. But at the same time, I was very upset with my performance last year in Vegas. I don't know if I mentioned it, but like I went in a little bit under the weather. My training kind of suffered leading into it because I kept getting like these stomach bugs where I was like throwing up like all night. And I think at the time like COVID was still kind of like working its way through the population and people were getting sick all the time. And that was kind of what happened with me. And looking back on it, I am proud that I was able to perform to what I did under the circumstances, but I was still embarrassed a little bit because I like Hunter went and took it to everyone from the gun. Like by the time we got through this skier, man, he was already he just like won the race like already.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, dude, this is the world championships, and I like didn't even give myself a shot here. Like he freaking took it to us right from the gun, and we just talked about going out hot, but for him it worked that day, you
Right.
know, and he
Right.
left us in the dust and created a cushion for himself that he was able to sit on for most of the race. And um yeah, like that race, it did sit with me for a while because I was just like, dude, I just gave him that race. Like I didn't even like put myself in the fight. But then after thinking about it, it was just like, look, Hunter's Hunter, and like there's no shame in losing to Hunter. I make a joke all the time that if Hunter didn't exist, I would have way more money in my bank account and way more like world titles and like all this stuff. But to the same token, I'm thankful for him because he does at age 37 right now, he still keeps me fired up to train. And I said last year when he said he was going to retire that I would rather lose to him again, knowing that I went up against the best rather than winning something that he wasn't even involved in. So I have an opportunity this year to really um, kind of make up for last year and kind of get my wish, and maybe I can put my name in the hat of being just like one of the guys who is one of the best to like do this thing. And the legacy part is actually pretty important to me. Like I want people when I'm like long gone, I want people to like look back on hybrid racing and think that I was some sort of pioneer. And I'll just put my goals out there right now. Like I want to win Hyrox Worlds at some point, and I want to win Deca Fit, and that way I'll have a world championship in all of the hybrid events because I won the Deca Mile, I won the
Yep.
Deca Strong, and to be the first athlete to do something like that is actually very, very important to me. And if it happens this year, that's great, but I still feel like I have many more years to go. And I think hybrid racing allows you to have a little bit more longevity than Spartan race because there's just many different training methods to keep you fit. Like you don't need to do all the things that would break you down if you were training for just a Spartan race. So I think I for sure like think why not another 5 or 6 years of high level performing in that time? Do I think I can freaking get one of these Hyrox world titles in me? I think I do.
I love that. That's awesome. I'm trying to figure out, I think we're like, I think I'm the girl you in the women's field right now. So like very relatable. I have like the same exact goals, whether it's this year or next year. It's like my goal is for it to happen at some point, you know? I think that's the cool thing about Hyrox though, is like it really truly can be anyone's day at any point. Like it's just that type of event where it's like, whose day is it? You know, especially in the men's field, like with how tight the times have been, with how many names I think are in the hat for like even just the podium. It's really I think it's anyone's game. So I think you definitely have a real good crack at it, and I'm rooting for you. But if you had to pick top 3, because I saw your Hyrox reel, are you sticking with your top 3? Or are you changing it up a little bit?
When was this?
This was was it at North Americans
Yeah,
that they
no,
asked
it was
you?
right after. It was after
It was a
Anaheim.
Houston. Oh, that was after
It was
Anaheim?
Anaheim. Yeah.
Oh, sick. Oh, so that was okay. So maybe it hasn't changed then. And I loved that you
No,
You said
sparked a
US. You
little
said USA. You said all
I
USA. I
did.
remember that now.
I did,
yeah.
and I do believe Magida has the ability to get on that podium. And I do think it would be cool for all 3 of us to do it because we have, for one, like a ton of history together. Like we've been doing this whole thing for coming up on a decade, me, Magida, and Hunter, and to
Yeah.
see some OGs like that take a world championship podium, I think would be super, super cool. But um I think he's got to be ready, man. Like he needs to be in like 55 shape, and maybe he is. And like I don't know what he's been doing, but I think there's guys like Tim, Michael, Alex, Toby. There's just a ton of great talent on the men's side that really could insert themselves onto the podium. I stand by this though. I think Hunter and myself, even though I did not perform up to my capabilities at North American Championships, I still think Hunter and myself are a tick ahead of everyone else. That doesn't mean we can't be beaten. Um,
Right.
but I think if we have a good day, Hunter and I will probably come 1-2 again. And if that happens, I'd like to be on the winning side of that. But if not, it's like still pretty cool. Like I've
Yeah.
already I made it I mentioned it in my post. Like I'm already okay with whatever happens in Manchester. Like I think I've been so hard on myself throughout my career when races went kind of sideways and didn't perform on my best, and it's just not a healthy place to be in, especially when you have a family that you need to, like, I don't know, like you need to be in a good mood, like you don't need to be a sourpuss about some stupid result. So like I don't know, I'm just at this phase in my life where like, dude, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, and there's no point in stressing about it beforehand, and there's no point in stressing about it after the fact. I'm very like
Yep.
I'm very even keeled right now. Even when I win, like I don't feel like I've done anything awesome or crazy. Like I'm just like another check that box, like I'm not like I'm the freaking man. Whereas in the past I've been like when I win, I'm like pounding my chest, and when I lose, I'm crying like a baby. Now I'm just like, dude, whatever happens, man, like it's gonna happen. I've put in the work, like there's nothing more I can do, and like let's just go see what we got. And I think
Yeah.
that just gives you kind of a very, very calming, like at the start line. And um yeah, it's just like a good mindset to be in. And I don't think I've been in this mindset at any other point really in my career. It's something that's kind of recently kind of developed internally. And I'm super thankful that I've been able to just kind of like handle that, I guess.
I think that's
Yeah.
a. I think that's a perfect place to wrap up. Unless you have anything else, burning questions, Meg.
No, Ryan, appreciate it as always. I'm rooting for you. You know,
Should I pick my
I'm
women?
bummed.
Should I pick my women's podium real quick?
You should
Yeah,
definitely do
it.
that.
I want to
Okay.
know where I stack
Okay.
up.
Okay. Let's see. In the
You gonna pull
three
All
up?
right.
You gonna pull up the leaderboard, or you know
Yeah,
already?
pull it up. No, pull it up. So let's see
All
what we
right.
got.
All right. Let's go into the results. What's it under? All-time ranking. There's so many different rankings on here. Here we go. Okay, hang on. Do a little screen share. Screen share. Boom. Boom. All right. So here's your field.
Okay. And there's a lot of good girls in here too.
Yeah.
You know what though? Like, it's hard to pick against the three that are already at the top. Like it's just like I said, Hunter and I think we're just kind of a notch above. I think Lauren, Michaela, and Megan are just slightly better than the rest of the field. That again, that doesn't mean that these girls can't come in and beat them. But I think it would require one of these three to just be slightly off their game. Doesn't need to be a lot, just a little bit, and somebody else could overtake them. But if everyone has their best day, I think it's Megan, Lauren, and Michaela. I think Lauren can get second place. I think Lauren can beat Michaela. I really do believe that.
Yeah, I mean she's beaten both of us. So she
Her
beat us
race at Europeans was so impressive. If she can duplicate that
yeah.
kind of race, I think she puts herself right there in the fight. But those three, it's gonna be a freaking dogfight.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for
Do you
sure.
think?
I think
Do you think?
USA on both sides. USA on men's and women though.
What about
For sure.
Alondra? Could Alondra sneak in there?
I think she could, but like for one, we haven't seen her race in quite some time. I know she just did, I think maybe Go Rock Games. I think she might have
Yep.
been there.
Yep, she did.
It'd be interesting to see kind of how Lauren bounces back from something like that. Tara, obviously, we know what Tara can do on the deck of fit side. She kind of like hasn't quite put it together on the Hyrox side, but look, we saw last year Chris Rogowski sneak into the Elite 15 and then win the world title. So
Yeah,
anything is possible. Like
yeah.
you just need a shot. You need a shot, and you just need to have a good day.
I feel like was Chris in third like that whole time, maybe fourth, and then it was like oh, the last two stations, whoop, one of those deals.
She just that engine that she had, just like everyone started to fade, and she didn't start to fade. And I remember being on the platform at the finish of the men's race, and they were saying the women's leaders coming in, Chris Rogowski, and I was like, what? Like Chris is leading the race, and she had, I don't know, like a 12 wall ball lead or something like that, over, was it Linda maybe last year? I can't remember, but
Yeah, I think it
um
was.
I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And when she won, like nobody could believe it. And so honestly, like anyone in that Elite 15 should feel like they have a shot, because honestly, on any given day, like everyone's good. Like someone could just pop one. Like, you ever been in a training session where just like everything is firing on all cylinders and you're just like, man, why can't the race be today? Because I feel
Yeah.
so good.
I wish the
That
race
could
was
happen.
Anaheim.
Right. Right.
That'd
So
be
that could
cool.
happen. That could happen to anyone in Manchester. So you definitely can't sleep on anyone, but I like my girl Megan to take it home.